YouTube. Especially hello to those watching the replay later. Today I'm going live twice. One stream is unscheduled, which is this one, and then the second one will be scheduled later in the evening my time. Simply because tomorrow I've got to go and find, I gotta leave the harbor and then find a new spot, which at this point seems quite impossible because I've exhausted my finances for what I could. It's really always from a week to week, day to day, and it's critical and difficult. So, having said that, why I'm pumping two streams is because I don't know how things are gonna go from here and what's gonna happen. So, I would have a lot more to say and talk about, but at least a couple of subjects which are more sticking out recently. It's the loneliness, the male loneliness. And then the other one, which I'm gonna talk about later in the evening, is the double standards that we see in the society and otherwise. So yeah. Loneliness. What is loneliness and why is it so much more common these days? Loneliness doesn't mean that you don't have people around you, that there's no one that you can't talk to. All of these things, like you have always, all of us have an ability to be with to be around someone, to have company of people. Loneliness comes more from the feeling of being misunderstood, unheard, unseen, emotionally unconnected, not connected to people or yourself. Loneliness comes as a result of not having the actual emotional availability from the people around you and the connection with your own emotions. Funny enough, I was aware of my loneliness when I was around people and with my family and my partner and stuff. And I found a better cure for the loneliness itself in the solitude. Although longer periods of solitude is definitely not healthy for anyone. Because human touch, even if just a hug, even if just a shoulder tap is good. Hello, one viewer, welcome to the stream. I just kind of started talking about loneliness. So I'm gonna go through it again, that loneliness is not a result of us being in company of people, but oh bye. Don't know why random people are popping on the stream. The title is clear. If you don't wanna watch it, go away. So loneliness is not a result of people being without company. Loneliness is a state of mind and emotion. Whether you feel seen, heard, understood or not, whether you feel emotionally connected or not. So, why are people more lonely these days than before? People are more lonely these days than before, in my opinion, for the major reason is because most of the people are glued to their screens. All of their attention is taken and distracted by the screens. We keep carrying them in our pockets, and because we are able to communicate with a larger group of people and get information overload from a larger group of people, we tend to interact with each other on a social, human level a lot less. There's less eye contact, there's much less talking on the public transport, there's much less interaction outside of our own comfort zones and our own established social circles. It's not just about the fact that, I don't know, people are having problems with dating and people are having problems with their own expectations towards each other's relationships and each other as people, but it's also the fact that we're all kind of inundated with the modern technology and social media and too many options of people that we can share with and talk to. Because generally, in the principle, each and every one of us should have about 3 friends that we can confide with, the people that are going to call us on our bullshit, and also the people who are going to be there for us whenever we need them. And if you can find that one person in like all these 3 people in one, normally would be your partner or your really best friend or someone like that, you gotta know that it's a kind of a relationship that you will have to work for and appreciate and nurture through life and stuff. Otherwise, it will die and wane out like a plant itself. So it's pretty simple. Today, loneliness is not a result of people not being together in company, but it's a result of the fact that we have very superficial relationships, including with ourselves. Because most people don't take the time to be more alone, switch off, go off grid, take some alone time, and actually find themselves and tune with themselves who they are, why they feel things the way they feel so. And actually, then when they come to terms and integrate their own feelings and emotions, also communicate with their friends, with their partners, because we all have differences. And sometimes it's much easier to communicate with people when you've gained some clarity and distance away from their own emotional bullshit and stuff that they have and the luggage they carry around. For example, in my own relationship, I knew intuitively I'm being faced with a lot of deceit and a lot of abuse. But if you're constantly being present there, you cannot think that you're going to be able to rationalize it in any possible way, either with yourself or the person who is constantly putting you under the pressure. That's how I felt lonely at my home. When I went out, had company of people, of course, a lot of them were friends. We were doing the same thing, playing the same sport or whatever. There was already this cultural stone walling between everybody. You don't talk about your personal problems at work. You don't talk about your personal problems in the sport. You don't talk about your personal problems in the society in general. So it was basically a toxic positivity we all created. So it's really simple as that. Um, the problem in the modern loneliness is not to be blamed on anyone else but basically ourselves. Because if you want to get in touch with people, you need to establish a human touch, not just chatting through the apps, not just talking through comments and all of this stuff. You really need to get out, put the phone down, and actually look up in the people and just talk to them, whether they're strangers or not. It doesn't really matter. But that's how we used to do this in the days before the mobile phones, in the days before all of the internet and all of this stuff. We actually had no chance but to deal with ourselves and with each other face to face. And it actually worked so much better. As far as I remember, racism was definitely not so much a subject, and it was not such an issue either, because people that were different came, and if you were surprised, you approached them and you started asking questions, and suddenly you were enlightened about it, and that's it. The same goes about homosexuality and all of this stuff. I pretty much remember my father's erotic magazines had pages covered for straight people, gay people, and weird people, and that was all in one magazine. Nowadays, everything is being compartmentalized, stuck in little comfort zones and social bubbles and echo chambers and all of this stuff. And everybody is trying to be the biggest smartass only about their own problems and their own issues, instead of actually trying to gain perspectives on other people, listen to other people more, connect with them on a bit more emotional level and all of this kind of stuff. It's really not that difficult to see how we're actually creating our own cages, how we're creating our own traps. Also, when it comes to any certain ideology or beliefs and stuff, it's like whatever you want to believe, if you're really gonna want to have your beliefs strengthened, you're gonna have to learn what your opposition thinks and feels and beliefs and stuff, because otherwise you can't know how people see you as well. You can think and perceive it, but this is still your own projection. If you really want to understand how we all see each other, you gotta try and actually practice compassion and empathy with all people around you. The only way we're gonna heal this epidemic of loneliness is to actually first get closer to ourselves and then allow others to be vulnerable, be themselves, and accept them for who they are, and stop the freaking judgmental bullshit, whatever it is. That's my opinion on it. Take it how you want. Um, Thanks for watching, and thanks for watching the replay. And then in the evening, I'm gonna go live again with a much more serious subject, which is double standards, people playing their games while they didn't clean up their own mess. So I hope you enjoyed this. Those who watched, do watch the replay later. I'm gonna keep it short intentionally so I don't talk too much. And have a nice day. Peace.